Joining us now is U.S. Senator Roger Wicker to discuss some of the top issues affecting our nation and this state. Senator Wicker, thank you so much for being with us live today at 4. Let's begin with your colleague, Senator Cochran. He had a tough primary race, and if you talk with anyone with the Chris McDaniel campaign, it's not over. Do you think that Senator Cochran will ultimately win this race, with the controversy, and win this race in November?
Well, it has been a very divisive primary, but I think I see the light at the end of the tunnel. The issue is about to go before a court. A court will look at it based on the facts and the law, and we'll have a conclusive decision soon, and after that the court's decision will be final and we can move on. So I think there's some healing to do in the Republican primary, but I do think Senator Cochran will prevail in this case, and then we can move forward to the general election.
Do you think this has hurt the Republican Party, and were you surprised with all the controversy surrounding this race?
Well, it has been a bitter primary, no question about it, but this is a time for healing. Let's see what the court has to say about it. And then at that point, I think Republicans need to unite, and I think most Mississippians will unite around Senator Cochran.
Let's talk a little bit about VA reform. The VA Medical Center here in Jackson is among VA facilities nationwide where patients have complained about numerous problems with care, paperwork, appointments. Do you think the VA reform bill, and you have been very, very vocal and active in fighting for veterans, not just in Mississippi, but across the nation?
Well, this reform bill is a bipartisan solution that I think makes several improvements. It gives us more doctors, more nurses, more facilities, but it also gives the veterans more options. If you're on the waiting list for more than 30 days, you get to opt into the private system. If you are more than 40 miles away from a veterans facility, you get to opt into the private system. And also, there's a more accountability for VA workers. Most of our VA workers do a great job. The ones that don't need to be subjected to the same sort of hiring and firing that we have in the private sector.
You have been such a staunch supporter, that is, of veterans, again, not just in Mississippi, but across the nation. And you have said our veterans deserve better than this. And is that why you fought so hard to make sure we have some help for them?
True. These people put themselves in harm's way, most of them as volunteers, and they absolutely do deserve the best, and they haven't been getting the best. It's been a scandal, but we came together as Americans, as Republicans and Democrats, for a pretty good reform bill. I'm glad it passed both houses, and I'm glad the president has signed it.
Let's talk a little bit about the crisis in Iraq. What do you think the U.S. role should be, and do you agree with what the president has done so far, or do you think more should be done, or how do you feel about the president's position so far?
The crisis in Iraq with ISIS coming in from Syria, wanting to set up an Islamic caliphate, is a serious crisis, and the point I would make is it affects American security right here in the homeland, because that's where the next terrorist attack will be launched if they're allowed to stay there. So I'm glad the president has authorized airstrikes. I don't think they will be sufficient. I wish the president had left a 15,000 troop force there rather than pulling out entirely a couple of years ago. I think that's the mistake he made. But at this point, I don't see ground troops going back in. We need to fully supply with equipment and with every resource they can the Iraqi army and also the Kurds who are defending against this radical ISIS group.
I think you answered a vital question that Americans have and Mississippians have. Why should we care about this? How does this impact us? And you answered that, because we could be a target.
We should care in the same way that we should have cared about what was going on in Afghanistan before September 11, 2001. It's the very same type of thing that could happen, and we need to prevent it before it comes to our shores.
Well, thank you so much for being with us.
Glad to be with you.
Again, we've
always.
been talking with United States Senator Roger Wicker. Thanks again. Appreciate it.